Hello, everyone, and welcome to Partners in Print, the direct mail debate. My name is Alex Wolfer, and I'm the marketing manager here at Quality Resource Group. This is the second installment in our Power Lunch webinar series, so thank you to everyone for joining today. As a quick reminder, these are monthly webinars on relevant topics in the world of print and promo, so be sure to be on the lookout for future invitations to these sort of webinars. This will be about a half-hour presentation with some time for questions at the end, but if you need to jump off early, we will be sending all registrants a recap email with a video recording of this presentation. If you have any questions throughout the meeting, put them into the chat or please save them for the end. And lastly, if you could, please mute your mic so we don't pick up any additional noise during this presentation. So today we'll be talking about one of my favorite parts of the marketing mix, which is direct mail. We will go over what it is, how to use it, and who to target. We'll talk about why direct mail is a useful marketing tactic and its advantages, how it compares to email and the differences between the two, how it works together with email to create additional marketing touch points for your business, and how to utilize direct mail to its fullest, including strategies and ways to stand out in the mail stream. But first off, I'd like to introduce an associate of mine who will be helping me with this presentation. I'm going to pass this over to Mike Mapes. He's the Director of Client Growth at Printco, which is a company that we work with closely on some of our print projects. So Mike, you can take it away.
Thanks, Alex, and thank you everyone for joining. And just to verbally confirm, yes, we can see the screen great, at least I can, and I'm seeing a lot of others that seem to be able to see it as well. So again, thank you for inviting me to join you, Alex, and thank you for everyone that joined the Lunch and Learn today. As Alex mentioned, we're going to talk about some of the direct mail ins and outs, and probably most importantly, I think for most all of you on the phone that would want to leave this presentation with, how can I increase the ROI for the marketing dollars I'm spending. So just real quick, as Alex mentioned, I am the Director of Client Growth with Printco. Printco is a full print and mail fulfillment company, and we work 100% through distributors like Quality Resource Group. And so that all of the folks that we are helping are individuals like you and clients that work with the distributors such as Quality Resource Group. We've had a great long-standing relationship with them, and really looking forward to hopefully being able to help some of you after this presentation today with some of your direct mail solutions through Quality Resource Group. So just one other real quick word about Printco. We've been around for roughly 60 years, a little over. Printco is a third-generation family-owned business, and we are involved in not just digital and direct mail print, but also web offset and sheet-fed web press. Digital print, as I mentioned, mail fulfillment, and one of the largest growing segments of our business today is exactly what we're going to be talking about, direct mail. So Alex, if it's okay with you, should I jump right in and start talking a little about explaining kind of how direct mail got to be so popular, what the importance of the growing segment might be? Are you good with that, Alex?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about who is the perfect target audience. And I'm going to tell you, really, for everyone on the phone today, really just about anyone could be a perfect target audience. So you've got your active customers, you've got dormant, non-active customers that maybe you haven't heard from them or seen them in years, months. And of course, you've got your prospects, leads, and let's not forget employees. We talk in a lot of different aspects about employees being an internal customer, and that is absolutely the case with direct mail and various different campaigns as well. So as you can see, just about anyone can really be part of your target audience. So what does a direct mail piece look like? So a couple of examples of what could be a direct mail. We've got postcards, letters, folded self-mailers, brochures, catalogs, really essentially anything that you can put in the mail and is going to reach out to someone, as we already discussed, as your target audience. What are some aspects of what you're going to contain within a direct mail piece? And so, of course, you'd want your business name, contact information, if you've got a specific call to action, coupons, obviously the recipient's name, who's getting this direct mail piece, and probably most importantly, in my opinion, from a direct mail piece is, what is that bling, that the wow factor, what is going to help get people to recognize or get your piece to stand out. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more, but that bling, as we will refer to it as the variable print and some of the unique fonts that we can use in these direct mail pieces. All right. So I had mentioned in kind of my introductory statement that when talking about Printco, that direct mail marketing is one of our fastest growing segments. And so why is direct mail marketing so hot right now? Why should it be providing the biggest bang for your dollars in all of the marketing channels that are available? So let's think about that a little bit. If you consider what's going on right now with the various different marketing channels, you've got TV, right? So I don't know about most of you on the phone, but my TV today looks like Netflix, Hulu, various different streaming apps where I can do my best to not see any ads, right? So the thought of watching the typical cable and sitcoms and various different shows where you're seeing a commercial every 10 to 12 minutes is somewhat a thing of the past. Radio is not a whole heck of a lot different. When I get in my car and drive somewhere, I'm either streaming Spotify from my phone, I'm listening to XM or Sirius Radio on my phone, and again, the commercials are limited. And even billboards as I'm driving in my car. Yes, I'm seeing the billboards, but with all of the things we've got going on right now, there is so much less travel going on, whether it be you're not traveling into work, you're not traveling to other businesses. In general, travel's down. So billboards as a means of sending your message, also the viewership is going to be way down on billboards. Then we've got the internal. Remember, we talked about our employees are an internal candidate. So internal messaging is going to be down because we've got folks that are working from home. I'm guessing the majority of us on the phone today either are working from home right now or many days throughout the week we're working from home, and so we're not getting into the office. So even our internal customers, we don't have that one-on-one interaction with the way we used to. But the one thing that has stayed constant is that everyone still gets their mail. Now, granted, you might get it a day later than you used to, and I'm certain that some of you have noticed the mail seems to have slowed down a little bit, but it is still the one constant. Everyone is still getting their mail. And in fact, for some folks, it might be the highlight of their day. If they haven't left home all day, that might be the one time they walk out that front door is to go get their mail, or out the front of the business is to go get the mail. And so again, we talked about things that are going on in the world right now. So just a couple quick facts that I want to share with you guys related to COVID. I know that you hear plenty about COVID every day, all day, so I'm not going to belabor that point, but just a couple of real quick statistics I want to share. 37% of consumers are more excited to receive their mail each day compared to before the coronavirus, right? So I talked about it might be the highlight of some people's day. Well, it sounds to me like about 37% of consumers might fit into that category. 30% of consumers are spending more time reading marketing and promotions that arrive in their home mailbox compared to before the coronavirus. And 84% of consumers appreciate the way some brands have changed their advertising tone due to the coronavirus pandemic. So just a couple of quick facts. But again, let's talk back to the crucial ways you're going to get your message out there. We've talked about all of the different marketing channels, and I think, I know we're not getting feedback because your microphones are muted. I'm guessing a lot of you would agree and are shaking your head that, yeah, you're right. I can understand why a number of those marketing segments and the channels for delivering a message are down. So right now, it's also, I would imagine, if all of you are involved in some type of business, whether you're the business owner or not, you've got some buy-in into needing to make sure that your business stays afloat, right? We all want to keep our jobs. So we've got to make sure that we are doing everything that we can to get the message out, keep our businesses going. And I think that direct marketing is going to be critical to achieving that goal. So with the direct mail piece, it's coming in the mailboxes, it's getting into business mails, but we're also having the ability to touch multiple senses. So you get a card in the mail and yes, you can feel it and you can touch it, but you've also got your sight. So different from some of the other marketing messages and the other channels delivering those messages, direct mail piece can touch two senses, which is going to increase even if it's subconsciously the viewability of that message. So in a few minutes, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the aspects that will help your direct mail piece. Remember, I talked about that bling and the wow factor. So we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. But first, Alex, do you want to tell us a little bit about direct mail versus email?
Yeah, definitely. And thanks everyone for hanging on in here through the technical difficulties. So when you're looking at direct mail versus email, as you know, with most forms of marketing, each specific channel has different advantages and disadvantages as to who that marketing can reach, how it's engaged with, and also how it performs. So for direct mail, it can be sent in literally multiple shapes and sizes, which gives the distributor the ability to personalize the experience of the recipient. It can also engage the senses of the recipient. They get a feel and touch the marketing, kind of as Mike said. You can also add a smell, a sound, you can personalize the imagery, and even add video if you're looking to reach a more higher end targeted consumer. And this interaction with your marketing piece means that there will likely be more engagement with your messaging than if it was displayed elsewhere. Additionally, direct mail can be easily measured, and its low cost often means it can yield higher ROI than email. Personalized offers and direct responses to your pieces are easy to track, and you also have the ability to target specific recipients at a low cost, which provides greater returns. But as you know, with all these advantages, there are aspects that make email marketing easier and better. It is much quicker to deploy an email than a direct mail piece, which allows you to be more timely and respond or react to specific topics or situations. Emails are relatively easy to create, and they don't require the physical production that direct mail does. And they can live in your target's inbox for an indefinite amount of time, which allows then your recipient to easily search for and come back to the offer whenever they want. So you may be wondering, which method of marketing should you choose when it's time for your next campaign? And to that I say, why not both? When you take an omni-channel marketing approach, your marketing across all platforms and channels works together to create a fuller view of your company and its offers for your audience. So when you use direct mail and email marketing together, they leverage each other's strengths. Some examples of how to take this approach: maybe you could try using direct mail to connect to users who don't respond to your emails. You could send a catalog and follow up with them online. You could create a nurture email campaign and at the end send a postcard with a call to action. Or you could use an email to follow up on an offer that you sent via a postcard. There really are a million different ways to merge the two tactics and other marketing efforts that you're doing to create an omni-channel approach that makes sure your targeted audience sees you everywhere, or only in the places that are optimal to them. So whether you're offering B2B solutions or B2C products for an end user, reaching customers in multiple places is advantageous for a variety of reasons. Not only does it help increase your touch points, it helps you learn about the recipient's preferences so you can optimize your messaging in the future. Additionally, with changes in the idea of where people are working and an increase in work from home situations, when you have the ability to provide your audience with marketing both when and where they want, that's extremely important. So now that you know how and why direct mail can be an effective marketing piece, if you're wondering how you can utilize this and other printing tactics to the best of your abilities, Mike will kind of go into variable print and talk about some of those wow factors that he mentioned.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. So I hate to tell you this in a time when diversity is so important, but not all direct mail pieces are created equal. Unfortunately, they're just not. But I'm here to help you understand how the pieces that Alex and all of your reps at Quality Resource Group can help you create a direct mail piece that is going to have some advantages over other ones. And it's exactly as Alex had just said, it's the variable print. And it's not just the messaging that you'll see on these cards on the screen where it's got the name. We're also going to talk a little bit about variable messages, variable names, variable images. There's a lot of variability that we can provide for you in these pieces, and that is what is going to create the wow factor and the bling that I mentioned earlier. So to give you a couple examples, and you know, one thing I should back up and mention here, I was reading a study recently that was from, I think it was like the Rochester Institute of Technology. They had done a study that was talking about the response rate and the effectiveness of a postcard that's just a color postcard versus a color postcard that uses variable print and images. And it was an astonishing 500% difference in the response rate, that they found on average a 500% greater response rate when you are using a postcard that's got the variable imaging and variable print on it. So that's pretty amazing, and I don't think it's a stretch. So when you've got a postcard, we're going to use the example that's up on the screen. We've got Valerie, and you see a tent. So let's just say that Valerie maybe is into camping, and maybe you've got a database. Maybe you're an outdoor supply company, and in your database, you know that Valerie has in the past told you, and so you've saved it, that she likes camping. So on her card, there's going to be a tent. Maybe Alex is into kayaking, and so we could have the variable picture maybe be a kayak instead of a tent. And so the possibilities are limitless. Of course, it's all in how you leverage your data. So if each of you on the phone today, think about who are your clients and what do you know about them in your database. Anything that you might know about them in your database or know about them that could be put into a database would give us the ability to print variables. So it's not just their name. As exciting as it is to see your name on a card, that's great, but we can even go a step further and have the pictures be variable, and maybe even the message on the back of this card might be variable. Again, a message might be about camping for Valerie versus a message being about kayaking for Alex, but all be in the exact same direct mail program. So let me stop there for a second, because I think we're going to come back to talking a little bit more about the wow factors and unique fonts and some variable images. But outside of just cards, there's some other ways that I think Alex wants to talk about other print opportunities that Quality Resource Group can help with using the unique font and variable images.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. And so if any of you are interested in seeing some variable printed samples, we do have calendars available for request. So we'll do a follow-up email that will be sent out tomorrow that will have a link to sign up for these calendars. But I'll also put a link to that sign-up form in the chat right now. So like I said, if you're interested in receiving your own calendar with your name integrated into the monthly images, feel free to follow this link and sign up, and we'll get an account executive of ours to get that over to you. So beyond variable print, there are a bunch of other ways which Mike can speak to.
Yeah, so I do want to tell you a little bit more specifically about, and Alex, if it's okay, can we just go ahead and forward to the next slide?
Yeah,
where I think we've got some of those unique fonts. So I talked a little bit about the bling, right? I'm going to just give you a few examples that might get your creative juices flowing as we go through some of these images. So in the upper left-hand screen, you see what looks like a bottle of champagne, and I think you can kind of see, we've all popped a bottle of champagne in celebration of something. And so in this particular card, we've got the name Sean, and I think if you look close, you might also see that Sean's name is on the label of champagne. So I'm going to give you an example. That is a card, and I'm in the process of helping a client right now that is in the mortgage industry. And so is a fairly large mortgage brokerage that's got a number of, I think, like around 100 loan officers. So they wanted to start a program where it's going to be a card. Once a month, I'm going to get a data file, and it's going to have information, and it's going to be a card that goes out to someone that just purchased a house. And so in that, using that example, this card is going to say, Sean, you get the card in the mail. That's pretty cool. Hey, my name is in champagne droplets. And on the back of the card, and actually I misspoke. So that would be an anniversary one. It's like a year after you moved into your house. So it was, Sean, congratulations on the 1-year anniversary of your home. The one I was speaking of is not a picture we actually have on this slide, but it was actually the picture of a front door, and the last name was on the doormat. Congratulations on your new home. Welcome to your new home. But so Alex also talked about the calendars and other ways outside of direct mail, and perhaps this could be for your employees, an employee retention program. We've got Happy Birthday, Roxanne. Whether everyone's working in the office or they're working remotely, this is a way that you might be able to reach out to your employees and have an employee recognition program for their birthday. Of course, that also works the same for your clients. If you happen to have a data file within your business with your clients and birth dates, maybe you want to have a monthly program where you're sending a birthday card out to your folks. I bought a car a couple of years ago in Chicago, and I still get a birthday card every year from the salesman at that auto dealership. We've got in the upper right-hand corner, you've got a mirror and it says Paula spelled out in toothpaste. We're going to talk a little bit specifically about some programs in a couple of minutes. But I will tell you that is an example of a program that we run for dentists and for a recall. And so on the back of that card, it would say, Paula, our records indicate that you are past due for your dental exam. But so I think you can all see when I talked about the wow factor and the bling, when you go to the mailbox and 37% of people, that's the highlight of their day and they enjoy getting mail. Just think about how much more enjoyable it is and how less likely they are to throw it away when they've got a unique font and their name and something variable on the front of that card that's going to draw attention to that card. It's going to help you draw attention to your call to action, which could be any number of things on the back of the card. I'm going to give one other quick example before I get into some of the special marketing programs, and then probably move on to questions in a minute. I talked about variable, not just the unique font, but and the name, but also variable images and variable messaging. And I'm going to give you a really quick example. Let's assume we're a bank and we've got 15 different branches, and the bank wanted to do a marketing program specific to investments. And they had a database of all of their bank clients that did not have investment portfolio with them. So we've got that information, and within those 15 branches, there's probably maybe, let's say, 15 to 30 different investment professionals. And so on the back of the card that Alex gets, because he might bank at one branch, is going to have the picture of the specific investment or personal banker specific to Alex's branch. I bank at a different branch, and so there is a different investment banker at that branch. So the card I get in the mail is not only going to have my name on it, but it's also going to have a picture and the contact information for the investment banker at the branch. So I wanted to use that as an example to quickly illustrate when I'm referring to not just a variable name, but variable images and variable message. All of anything where you've got the information, it can all be variable. And that's how you really can create kind of that wow factor and get your pieces to stand out with direct mail. And in a marketing world, get your message to the right person at the right time with the right message about the right product. And so in sticking with that same example, of course, the bank knows that the investment could perhaps be the right product, not just because we know that they don't have it, but they maybe also know the age, the year Alex and I were born. So they're going to be able to tailor it to, hey, Alex and Mike, we think they fit the perfect age category for getting involved in investments. So it's going to help them tailor their message. Someone else might not fit that age, but maybe they are what they might view as the bank's critical or primary age for getting a loan, but we know they don't have a loan. So their card is going to have a picture of a loan officer and a message about getting a loan. So just again, to kind of give you some examples of the power of the data that a lot of you already have and how you can use that data to get your message to be variable and stand out above the others. Just real quick, I'm going to run through a couple of quick programs that we have within the direct mail piece. And you may see one of these programs and think, well, that doesn't really fit my type of business. A lot of these programs can be tweaked. So the first one, we've got a recall program. Originally, the recall program started, and you saw a card on the last slide that had the toothpaste on the mirror, and that's part of a recall. Hey, it's time for your dentist appointment. Part of that recall program also is for an optometrist. Our records indicate that it's time for your eye exam. But you really could use the same type of a recall or a reminder card program for so many different industries. For the automotive industry, it's time for oil change. In the HVAC industry, it's time for an air conditioner tune-up. It's time for your air duct cleaning. So if maybe they had their air ducts cleaned, and if you recommend they do it every year or every 2 years, you're going to have that information in your database. Another program we have is the birthday card program, anniversary card program. We kind of touched on that already when we looked at the cards. That again could be for your clients. It could be internal for your employees. We've got a specific bank and community credit union marketing program. But again, those programs are meant to, that specific program is meant to get a card sent out specific to the various different products within a bank. Banks don't make a lot of money off of your checking account and your savings account. They make money off of service fee income, like investments and loans and such. And I think that there's a lot of other industries that probably fit a similar mold and could fit into a similar type of program. The other program that we have specific is trade shows, and that's probably a program that could fit everyone on this phone, whether you are participating these days in virtual trade shows or whether you're participating in person or hoping to get back to in person, a direct marketing piece that goes out to attendees that are going to be attending that trade show, and it's a way to help draw people to your booth. And I would argue that right now, if you're attending virtual trade shows, it's probably more important than ever that you do something to reach out to the audience of that trade show and hopefully drive people to your booth, because it's just, I've participated in the virtual trade shows, and when you're in person, you can wave to people, you can say hi as they're walking past your booth, but you don't have that ability in a virtual trade show. So it could perhaps be more important than ever to find ways to target your audience and draw them into your booth. Some of you may be thinking, I don't have a database at all and my database is horrible. Not to worry. We've got the ability to purchase lists, and it is amazing the things that you can purchase today from a list. You can find things out from, if you want to select a group of people for a mailing and you want to select folks that are in a certain income level, you want to target homes that are within a certain value, you want to target a certain age range, you want to target a male versus female. There are so many different criteria that we can narrow down and purchase a list that's going to help you to be able to speak directly to the client you want to speak to about the products you want to speak to them about. So again, if you don't have a good database, we can help you with purchasing a list to achieve that same goal. So let's say you don't want to purchase a list, you don't have a database. In fact, you're not even sure exactly who your target client is, but you just know you need to get people to drive them into your business. So the next slide is going to talk about, and some of you may have heard the term EDDM, referring to every door direct mail. So this is a strategy that rather than targeting clients or folks at a specific address, every door direct mail is going to pull up carrier routes. I've got a postal person, the same lady, she delivers mail to my house every day, and she probably has 500 homes in my neighborhood that she delivers mail to, the same 500 homes every day. That's called a carrier route. That's her carrier route. So with every door direct mail, you have the ability to reach out to a specific neighborhood. You can select multiple carrier routes. The main advantage to this is you don't need a mailing list. You don't have to worry about your database. And probably more importantly is the humongous cost savings. So while we can help with doing a mailing and qualifying your mail and getting the typical direct mail postage way below 55 cents for an every door direct mail piece, it's going to probably not be quite half of that, but significantly lower. In fact, probably somewhere around 16.4 cents to 19 cents. So an every door direct mail might be a great way for you to start. It's pretty typical when maybe you've got a grand opening or you're just not getting the traffic flow into your brick and mortar location, and maybe you want to drive neighbors into that location. So again, every door direct mail is a great way to start with a mailing, very cost effective, not as specific with variability, but it certainly can still target specific neighborhoods, which might be exactly what you need. I think, Alex, we're on to you.
Yeah, lastly, a couple of timely topics for direct mail. We do have all these topic ideas available for you on our blog, which is called Timely Topics for Direct Mail Campaigns. It is on our website. I won't get too much into these, but empathy matters more than ever right now. if you can prove that your business is doing the right thing and show that you're a community member, that you're just a group of hardworking people trying to find solutions for your customers, that really goes a long way towards earning loyalty. Focusing at home with many people working from home, it's a great time to show that you can help improve productivity at home. And then also we have employee appreciation, showing your employees that are working from home that you care about them, you miss them, that you're thinking about them. That's a great internal marketing campaign to run through. And then virtual meetings and trade shows. If you're doing something virtually, which hopefully we won't have to be doing for too much longer, but if you are doing something virtually, sending a direct mail campaign to your audience, a physical marketing piece really helps promote a virtual event, can help drive traffic, and makes the experience that much more real. So like I mentioned earlier, there are numerous different ways to use direct mail in your marketing mix, and obviously infinite amount of topics that you can touch on with your direct mail pieces. The important part is to make sure that the topic makes sense to your target audience and gives your target audience a reason to hold on to that piece of mail and set into motion the action that you lay out for them. So I know we're a bit over time. Thank you everyone for joining in, for sticking around, for dealing with our couple technical difficulties. We do have a couple questions here in the chat that I think I'm going to pose to Mike, so he can talk about, but we will be sending out a recap email with this presentation. So you can check that out. It will have a link to sign up for any variable printed calendar that you're interested in. And additionally, we will be announcing the winner of the direct mail marketing campaign. That is a 500-piece campaign. We'll email the winner directly, and we'll announce that on our social media channels. So Mike, I'm going to put a couple questions to you. We had someone ask, for a monthly card program, are there any minimums that are required for this?
Yeah, that's a good question. There really aren't necessarily any minimums required. What I will mention from a monthly card program that goes out, I would say there's really more of a minimum that I think of when I think of postage, because one of the important aspects of us being able to provide the print and mail fulfillment for the clients is that we are able to capture postal discounts because of the postal qualification we're doing. When we send out a card, there's typically a minimum of 200 if it's a bulk standard rate mailing. And so it's a minimum of 200 to go out to capture those postal discounts. There's not really a minimum. We could print 2 cards, we can print 20,000 cards. Obviously, the more we're printing, the quantity discounts are going to apply.
Sure. And then we also had someone mention that direct mail is measurable, and they wanted us to expand on how you can measure, and then how else you are supposed to know if people are receiving your message, especially with recipients' location changing, whether they're in the office or at home. And I know there are many ways to measure. A couple things I can think of off the top of my head is creating a personalized URL with that variable print. You can create a URL that is specific to the recipient, and then you can track based on the URL clicks that receives, or doing something like a QR code, which will also create a unique URL to each individual piece of direct mail. And Mike, kind of what are your thoughts about making sure your message is received either at home or in the office or correctly by the recipient?
Yeah, so that's a good question. How do you track that? And I think one of the things you touched on, Alex, adding a QR code. There are so many different things that can be added to these direct mail pieces. You could add a link to your website. You can add a QR code, and all of those things could go directly to a specific site that you wanted to track. But of course, that's only going to track who would go to that site. Depending on what type of business you're in, you might also use this direct mail piece as to drive them into your business. Maybe if it's a trade show, you're gonna put a specific password or a code, or bring this card with you to the trade show and get entered for a prize. For a lot of direct mail that we're seeing on the card, there might be a specific call to action, again mentioning a code that would get you a discount when you come in to purchase an order, or when you call to make an order. So there's any number of ways that you can track who's receiving that card and who's actually moving forward with the call to action that you may be asking them. Alex, you did mention a URL link, but I think outside of going to that link, there's a lot of different ways. It really depends on what your call to action is, who your target audience is, and what you might be asking for them to respond with. And so that might be a better question for, that we might be able to engage in a one-on-one conversation for some of those businesses and folks that might want to talk specific to their business and how we could help create a targeted piece that would help them track their ROI.
Sure. And it doesn't look like we have any more questions at the moment. So thank you, Mike, for speaking on behalf of Printco and working with us on this great topic. Lastly, thank you everyone for attending. We appreciate your questions and your participation. If you have further questions, feel free to reach out to your QRG account executive, or for more direct mail ideas, you can email our ideas address at ideas@quality-resource.com. Like I said, visit our blog for further ideas, or our print landing page for some of our printing capabilities. And lastly, the contest winner, like I mentioned, will be emailed and announced via social media. So thanks everyone for logging on today. And we will be back in touch with you guys soon with a recap email and further QRG Power Lunch webinars. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex.